everyone, Ryan Young, Common Jiu-Jitsu. Hope you're doing well. Today, let's go over losing to a lower belt. And one of the things that happens, a lot of people don't want to get a promotion. Let's say you're a white belt and you're top of your game, top of your class in the white belt ranks, and you don't want to get a blue belt. You don't think you're ready. Why is that? Because you're afraid of getting beaten by a white belt once you get a blue belt. And the elation of earning your blue belt, oftentimes when you get back on the mat, you now think to yourself, oh, now that I'm a blue belt, I can't tap to white belts. Unfortunately, that's kind of a limiting thought process. So, and the reason why is because you're no better or you're no different the moment the blue belt went on versus the moment before the blue belt went on. But you think to yourself, now I'm different. Same thing happens when you get your purple belt and you can't get beat anymore. By the time you get to your brown belt, you've already matured somewhat and you care less. But for those of you that get, you're training, let's say you're a purple belt now, you're training, and then you get armbarred by the best white belt in your school. And it was legit. You didn't give him anything. You weren't spotting him the position, spotting him everything up until the point where he just got it on. I mean, he took it from you. That's a point at which a lot of people will then do one of two things. You'll either look at it and go, oh crap, I suck. And then you will never train with that white belt again. You will avoid him because in your mind, he's already got you beat. Or when anybody else tries to set up an armbar, you're gonna be looking for armbar setups a mile away and you're gonna make sure it never happens. And you're gonna avoid it at all costs, even if it means getting choked out, but you don't wanna get armbarred again. That's not a good way to look at it. The other way you can look at it is just simply say, well, that's where I need to work on something, right? And sometimes, you do have a white belt who's spectacularly good at one thing, or a blue belt or whatever, where they're super good at one thing, not so good at the rest, which then makes it average all out to a good white belt. So you have to be okay with getting tapped out by somebody who's not at your level, right? Because a lot of times what will happen is if you let it get to you in the wrong way, you will now guard your rank. You will not, and by guarding your rank, you're not going to be progressing anymore because you're not letting yourself loosen up to the point where you can make a mistake and you can get better. The best people are the people that just wear the belt and it doesn't matter if it's a white, purple, brown, black belt. It's a belt. It's just simply holding your gi together. And the belt means nothing when the belt comes off and you just go and throw it off to the side. You just go and just keep training with no belt on, right? You don't need to constantly wear your belt. By having the mentality that I don't care if somebody beats me, regardless of the belt, you can always look at what happened and say, okay, he got me in an armbar. Now I need to walk back to the point at which things started to go south. And I need to nip it in the bud right there, right? Now, once you got that under control, then maybe that white belt won't be able to get you in an armbar anymore. Then what you need to do is once you got that locked down, then you're gonna move a little forward. But every time I try to pass, he goes and locks my arm up. Okay, well, you need to now then look at, okay, what did I do wrong at that point? And then you're gonna keep pushing that point at which things start to go south further on until he can't get it anymore. But in order to do that, you're gonna have to keep training with him. And you're gonna have to keep getting yourself subjected to getting armbarred. Just like another one, a common one is not letting somebody take your back. Because every time somebody takes your back, it doesn't matter what belt they are, they're gonna tap you out. Well, so you can either avoid it completely and don't let people take your back, or you can let more people take your back, right? And realize you've got a hole there and you gotta fix it. And that's something that Dave Kamo would do with me all the time. I'd be good at something and he'd steer me toward that and let me get to position and see what happens. And I'd tap him. But then after that, we'd go again and he'd steer me to it again, but he'd look back at to where the point at which things went south and he'd go in a different direction. More often than not, that actually stopped it for me right there. And I could never get it on him again, right? But had he not been comfortable with me catching him, he wouldn't have put me into that spot that would lead to me catching him. I've had people that were better than me where they might lead me to somewhere where they think they can get out, but they let me get a little too far and then they go ape shit on me and end up just getting out with brute force rather than doing the technical way out, putting your weight in a certain way, breaking the connection, turning the angle, that type of stuff. But you have to be okay with somebody at a lower belt tapping you. Or like I mentioned in one of my previous videos about how, you might have because you're trying to work on a particular concept, you're gonna let somebody who's a lower belt just climb all over you and get all these kind of positions and get you in all kind of trouble. So if you're comfortable with it, if you develop that comfort in yourself and not put it all in your belt, then you'll be okay. Then it doesn't matter what belt you're wearing. When you go in, let's say you're one of those that goes and switches school and they have a different grading criteria. And, like when Hadra Machado took over the school that I was at years and years ago, him telling me that I was a blue belt when I was a purple belt under Hickson, right? I got my purple belt from Hickson. This is years later, maybe 2-3 years after I had left Hickson's Academy. And Hadra Machado telling me, nah, you'd be better off wearing a blue belt. Okay, right? Because the belt didn't matter to me. I just wanted to learn. Because I was comfortable with that, I didn't care if guys that were lower belt would tap me as long as I figured something out as to why I got tapped. So for your training, try to think in that way. A lot of jiu-jitsu success is psychological, right? You have to be in the correct mindset. You have to be willing to accept certain realities that in normal everyday life, you may not have to, right? You could be, let's say you're at the top of your career. So let's say if you're a lawyer, you're a litigator. Let's say if you're a doctor, you're a surgeon. If you're an athlete, you won multiple championships. Jiu-jitsu is something different because you're used to being top of your game. A lot of people who don't get over that mentality, they never are successful in jiu-jitsu, right? Like a doctor who teaches, who's a teaching doctor, right? So in a hospital where you have a bunch of residents and interns, they go to the teaching doctors as, these guys, they know their field inside and out. They're top of their game. But if you have somebody like that who does jiu-jitsu and they can't shut that mentality off, they'll be unsuccessful in jiu-jitsu. It happens, right? But a lot of, like I said, jiu-jitsu is conquering yourself. And this is just one other way you can conquer yourself. So let me know if this works for you. Try it in earnest. Just today, you're just gonna get beat by everybody lower belt than you. And you're just gonna get yourself used to it. No big deal, right? Just make sure you know how you got caught. And I wanna thank you guys for supporting our channel. Rusty's gonna put a PayPal link in there if you wanna donate to the effort because, sometimes you don't wanna do the Patreon, but sometimes, we've had people ask, hey, how can we help you guys out? And, something like that, just a few bucks here and there, it goes a long way because it does cost a lot of money to put these together for you, but as long as it helps you guys, we're good. Also, feel free to hit the links below if you want to get any gear. And, we appreciate you guys. And if not, that's fine. Just go ahead if you can, like and subscribe or share the video. That's really the most important thing. That's all I got for you. Take care. Happy training. Bye-bye now.